What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Vanguard. Coming at you guys with a bit of an evening time live streams. Daylight savings just hit, so it's actually dark outside now, which is always a little bit trippy around this time of year, getting dark earlier and all that stuff. But we're glad to be back. It's going to be a really fun stream. We got a lot of juicy stuff to unpack today. It's going to be quite a spicy stream, so everyone sit tight while we wait for a couple comrades more to trickle into the chat to get click on the live stream and all that stuff. But yeah, welcome everyone to the Vanguard.
Yeah, how's it going, everybody? My day's going great. Thanks for asking, Gavin. Guess back in with another election week. Fucking show today. Did you want to wait to shout out the patrons, or do you want to go ahead and dive right into that, Gavin? As always, we begin and end every live stream to shout out to our massive Patreon community that we love so much. Shout out to you guys.
Yeah, huge shout out to the patron community. Thank you guys so much for the support. Going to find that link in the description of this live stream and all of our video content. As always, patreon.com/the Vanguard channel. Hit that up, guys, if you want to support the show, if you want to become a member of the Vanguard community, have your name up here on the shout out screen. We really, really appreciate your support, guys. As we always say, wouldn't be able to do the show without you guys. You make this content 100% possible. You make our existence as a YouTube channel 100% possible. So thank you so much to the patrons. As I said, links in the description. And of course, we do like to start and end all of our live streams with a big shout out. So this is what that is. Huge shout out to you guys. Thanks so much. Links in the description. Hit it up. And in case you don't have the money or ability to support us on Patreon, totally understandable. Completely get it. All we ask is that you hit that like button to help us with the algorithm. That's another great way to support the show, 100% for free. So yeah, just hit that like button, guys. Really helps out. Get some more comrades in the chat. Get some more eyeballs on the live stream. And yeah, we got a lot of good shit to talk about today, guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Got started bright and early today with some spicy Twitter news. If you want to go ahead and kick off the show with that today, Gavin. Last night, a little bit of a weird thing went down where Matt Gaetz went on TYT, right? That was last night, or at least they announced it last night, rather. Okay, is that happening today?
It's happening on election day tomorrow. He's going to be part of their panel.
Gotcha. Either way, so Cenk tweets out all of this, and Ron Placone comes in with a banger tweet, chiding Cenk a little bit. Let's see if we can't get that up here. Sweet. But yeah, so just a little bit of poking fun over here in light of the fact that, you know, Cenk wants to come out here and parade himself as the only true authentic leftist. Meanwhile, just like a week ago, coming out in full force endorsing former Republican, lifelong Republican Rick Caruso, billionaire Rick Caruso, in the Los Angeles mayoral race. So, you know, he tweets out, Matt Gaetz talking to me, Anna, and Nina Turner on election night ought to be interesting. And then Ron Placone, as we mentioned before, comes in with that banger of a tweet. Guess with Nina there, you need to find someone to your right, and that can't be easy these days, which I thought was hilarious. And also just like, okay, fair enough. Like, why are you having this guy on randomly after all you've done is pearl clutch and fucking finger wag about anybody that has a, you know, friendly relationship with a conservative, right? It wasn't framed as like a debate, right? Maybe it will be. I imagine it'll turn into a debate. If it doesn't, that would be shocking to me. But you know, just a good bit of humor from Ron Placone. Did you have a reaction to that, Gavin?
Yeah, so a couple things to break down here. As you said, TYT basically making this announcement that Matt Gaetz will be joining their live midterms coverage panel, which is interesting for a couple of reasons. You know, I don't care about the fact that they're having Matt Gaetz on. I don't really think that's terribly offensive because we haven't seen it yet. I don't know what the context of this is going to be. But I will say that if they really do just have him on to kind of be like, oh, hey, Matt, what's up? What's your opinion? That will be weird given some of the commentary they've given in the past about other people doing similar things. Now, if this does, you know, just turn into a debate and they're, you know, trying to destroy his ideas or whatever, then that's cool. That'll be interesting and definitely more entertaining. But it's not really framed that way. You know, it's not really framed that way. It's just like Matt Gaetz will join Cenk, Anna, and Nina Turner during our midterm election live coverage. Again, without much explanation as to why. Like, again, it would make sense if they were saying like Matt Gaetz is coming on to debate. recently Dennis Prager came on TYT to debate. I thought that was pretty interesting. We covered it here, but it's not being framed that way. It's just like Matt Gaetz is going to be all part of the TYT panel. Like, what the fuck? Okay, I guess. Anyway, yeah, banger tweet from Ron responding, guess with Nina there, you needed to find someone to your right, and that can't be easy these days, which is funny. And also it raises a point that I wanted to mention, which is that I do feel kind of bad for Nina Turner, because basically like as soon as she joined TYT, they went full like tough on crime, Fox News framing on the issue of crime, endorsing Rick Caruso, now having Matt Gaetz on. She must be like, what the fuck is going on here? This is not what I signed up for. But either way, definitely interesting news.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I saw that tweet last night, was like, LOL, you get him, Ron, who's a friend of the show, obviously. I didn't think too much about it until I'm sitting at Blip Coffee. Shout out to Blip. It's where Gavin and I go every morning for coffee. And I'm scrolling Twitter. And just like by an accident of fate, like right after this tweet gets thrown up and responded to by Anna Kasparian, if we scroll down one more, we'll get to hear from her. But just by happenstance, I am sitting at the coffee shop at, like 9:56 a.m., and I see this tweet come up and I'm like, oh no, Anna's going after my man Ron. So she says, hey, Ron. Oh, I can't now. I couldn't a second ago. Hey, Ron, aren't there any right-wing militia groups you and Jimmy should be pleasuring right now? Real rich of you all rich of you of all people to go around accusing others of being right-wing. Send Tulsi my regards. Now, this tweet is just patently false for a bunch of reasons. Like, she's pretending that Ron is in any way still associated and employed by Jimmy Dore, something that is not true. Also, Ron actively supported Bernie Sanders. I think he also liked Tulsi, but Ron was never a guy out here that was bashing Bernie Sanders during his run, from what I could remember of any of his commentary. And if you're going to try and come after the guy for ever having previously worked with Jimmy Dore, hello, people in glass houses shouldn't throw stones. There are clips that I could find of you in the past, with Jimmy Dore, happy-go-lucky. So I just thought that was a little bit, it ruffled my feathers a little bit, because I was like, hey, I like Ron. Ron is like the nicest guy ever. Rarely do I tweet. Whenever you see a banger from the Vanguard account, like 99% of the time it's from Gavin. But today I threw my hat into the mix and got us in trouble again. Whenever I tweet, I just get us in fucking trouble on the Vanguard here. So went ahead and responded to Anna Kasparian. If we can. Oh, okay. Gavin has to look it up because she blocked us here. I can just read it from my own Twitter really quickly. It said, blah, 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 blah. Karen Kasparian's massive coat because her boss endorsed a Republican and she liked it. And here is the end result of that exchange. For somebody to try and come in and, oh, Gavin. No, it's showing us like a weird like 5D Vanguard thing. I just
sorry, she blocked us on the main account, so I'm having to access this from the other browser where my personal Twitter is logged in. So sorry for the technical difficulties. There we go.
Yeah. So she says Karen Kasparian's massive coat because her boss endorsed a Republican and she liked it, yada, yada, yada. She tries to go in for the slam dunk. The Vanguard successfully does a ratio. Odd pickup from Jimmy Dore, who retweeted this tweet and gave us a little bit of a boost across the finish line. I won't deny it. I was like, that was a real recognized game moment. Jimmy apparently had to make up for it and talk some shit on us later on in the day when he went on the Moscow couch or whatever the fuck it's called, the couch potatoes. I can never remember. But anyway, I just thought this was hilarious because Gavin, if you throw up the screen from our Vanguard account, we can see that instead of engaging in a rigorous debate with us, Anna Kasparian, who picked her own fight, just said, you know what, fuck you, you're blocked, which I was happy about because I was like, ha, you saw my tweet, you fucking NIMBY Karen. So hilarious. And then she went on today to publish this like redonkulous ass fucking essay that we'll get into, news piece. Just all around L's from the Young Turks network. I mean, this is just an implosion of the highest order. And yeah, you mentioned something important that Nina Turner got there like right as the cookie was about to crumble, man. Like, oh gosh, what a horribly embarrassing time, to work there.
Yeah, so embarrassing, so embarrassing. I do feel a little bit bad for Nina Turner joining right as the ship begins to sink. Pretty funny. And yeah, totally agree, Christina. Thank you so much for the $4.99 first super chat of the live stream, Christina. Thank you so much. TYT takes any opportunity to mention Jimmy. Ron is the chillest dude on the planet. WTF, Anna. Yeah, let's throw this thread back on the screen real quick in case anyone who's just tuning in didn't see it. Because, yeah, I really did think that Anna's response to Ron was a little bit out of pocket. Let me see here. Yeah. Hey, Ron, aren't there any right-wing militia groups you and Jimmy should be pleasuring right now? Real rich of you guys to be going around accusing others of being right-wing. Yeah, are you not aware of the fact that Ron Placone has not been associated with Jimmy Dore since he blatantly pivoted into right-wing talking points and pandering to the right wing? Like, Ron actually took a principled stance, and I know they're still friends and all that stuff, and Ron doesn't like to embroil himself in drama and talk shit, and that's all fine. But yeah, I mean, he clearly left the Jimmy Dore show around the time it started to kind of descend into the right-wing talking point sphere. He's not associated with Jimmy Dore anymore. Definitely not Jimmy Dore's bullshit pandering to the right wing. And if Jimmy Dore had just responded to Anna, then maybe I wouldn't care at all. I'd say hell yeah, and I'd maybe give that tweet a like or something. But as it is, this is totally uncalled for and inaccurate as to the position of Ron Placone, who is extremely chill, and who's actually in no way supporting right wingers, at least not in the way that Anna Kasparian is suggesting here at all. He's not the one out here fucking, endorsing Rick Caruso, who's a billionaire pro-police, lifelong Republican that the Young Turks have seemingly found themselves in alignment with. Of course, Jane came out there and said he was going to vote for Caruso the other day. Compare that to Ron Placone's tweet over here from the other day about his plans for Election Day. He says, I'm going to begrudgingly vote for Karen Bass, who will likely be a lousy mayor, but nowhere near as dangerous as Rick Caruso. So, yeah, I don't know how Anna could come out here and say that he's, he needs to go pleasure right-wing militias when, if anything, he's just kind of taking the normie, dim approach of voting for the lesser of two evils.
Not only that, but every single time I have the pleasure of having Ron on our show, I realized that this is a dude that walks the walk, man. He went out and wrote an entire one-man show. You know how long it takes to write an entire show and then go out and perform it for people? And it was that Lucy and the Satirist guy. Somebody from ancient history, right, that a lot of people aren't familiar with. He does all the research. Ron's a good researcher. He's a smart guy. I think he almost got a PhD or something. So, he goes out and then what does he do? He doesn't accept any money for his own personal gain. I think he took some tips there and then donated the money when it was over. I mean, this is a guy that's out here literally walking the walk. The only walk that Anna does is from the TYT studio to her fucking Porsche to her fucking, loft that I'm sure anytime that she has to smell or look at any garbage, she, rings the bell for more cops and, homeless bulldozers, homeless camps bulldoze. It's yeah.
Absolutely. And Ron follows up his tweet to Anna by saying, anyway, I have no desire to contribute more to the political themed gossip column that you call journalism, so I'll keep it on topic. Supporting and downplaying the danger of Rick Caruso, a predatory billionaire who covered up years of sexual assault at USC, is sick. Hope you see that. And she responds very substantively with, you guys literally just read tweets about terminally online leftists all day. LOL. Like, what kind of response is that? Literally, she has nothing. She has absolutely nothing. First of all, it's just this stupid joke and an inaccurate analysis of Ron's politics or his orientation within the progressive movement. Again, where he tries to explain how their position involving Rick Caruso is problematic and not at all left-wing. And then she just responds with another stupid and dumb joke, an inaccurate joke, because Ron doesn't even like to get involved in the whole online political drama sphere. He never gets into the name calling and stuff. The only reason he's commenting on this is because he, like so many other people, are genuinely shocked by the far right-wing turn that the Young Turks has recently taken, specifically on the issue of crime, which has led them to endorse and get behind this literal fascist, a billionaire pro-police, lifelong Republican. I didn't even know about the fact that he covered up years of sexual assault at USC. That's obviously disgusting. So that's another, piece of evidence to put on the pile, but just crazy. I can't believe Anna is conducting herself this way.
People in the comment section remind me about this. What was the name of the fucking coach at USC? I can't remember. There was a guy that did a lot of fucking molesting at USC that I cannot remember specifically, but yeah. I mean, that's the sick part of all fucking, things in America. It feels like every time you're like, oh, there was a fucker that was molesting people there, and you're just like, Jesus Christ, they covered it up for decades. For what reason? Like, you know, the Larry Nassar shit and gymnastics, you had all kinds of crazy shit. It was just like, oh, Jesus Christ. Yeah. Humanist Report coming back in here with another banger, though. He's a literal right-wing billionaire buying himself power. That's not change. It's peak status quo politics in history. His victory will be a huge loss for democracy. Exactly. It's hilarious because they're acting like this is unsubstantive. It's like, but really, it's exact same as Trump. He's like, I can't imagine any of people being duped into voting for Trump. How could you be so dumb? How could you be so foolish? It's like, Cenk, you are literally falling for the neoliberal Trump. Like, this guy is Trump for NIMBYs like you, where it's just like, oh, he knows what to say. He puts a collar on, and, you know, he's not like blatantly racist. He just like says all the right dog whistles. You know, that's how we got people like Kim Kardashian, who loves to pretend to, you know, be like rah, like prison reform. That's my pet issue. But, you know, in reality, he said all the right things, and now they come out and they say, oh, you know, we need to make Los Angeles safe again. Like, people like Sharon Osbourne talking about how they have to move back to England because Los Angeles isn't safe enough anymore, and like all this kind of shit.
Yeah, absolutely. And shout out to Mike, by the way. You know, I think Mike is still a part of the TYT network, right? So it definitely took some balls for him to come out here and be like, actually, this is complete bullshit, to Cenk Uygur, who, of course, is still the head of TYT. You know, a lot of times you'll see people in media refusing to call out their own team, right? Because they know who butters their bread and they don't want to get on the wrong side of that person. And Mike's not one of those people, clearly, because he's out here calling out Cenk's bullshit, even though, again, he's part of the TYT network. And I've seen a lot of radio silence from other people that are also associated with TYT on this issue, but you got to give the man credit for directly responding to Cenk Uygur, calling out his bullshit and saying, like, what the fuck are you smoking, bro? What the fuck are you smoking? Like, you can make the same argument that Cenk is making about Rick Caruso about Donald Trump. Hillary Clinton ran on maintaining the status quo and running it better. Trump ran on change. That was the same dynamic between Hillary and Trump. And I didn't vote for Hillary Clinton, but I definitely didn't fucking come out here and support Donald Trump, which is the equivalent of what Cenk Uygur is doing in the Los Angeles mayoral race by basically supporting and endorsing Rick Caruso. This isn't the only tweet where he's mentioned that. We did a whole breakdown with it with Jordan Cheriton, where he explicitly said, I plan to vote for Rick Caruso. So yeah, as you said, Zach, basically just the neoliberal version of Trump. By the way, thank you so much, Zachary, for the 199. You see Max Blumenthal and Ben Shapiro beef on Twitter. Yeah, we're going to be covering that a little bit later in today's show. So stay tuned for that, Zachary. That was some pretty interesting stuff going down.
Yeah, I can't help but notice, Gavin, something we were talking about the other day about, you know, Nina Turner never really came out and made a full-throated defense of Karen Bass, Los Angeles. I never heard her make any jokes about, or you know, make any snarky comments at Cenk and about how this is not what we need, and the fact that he's endorsing a fucking billionaire instead of a black woman with a long tenure in politics. Like, these seem like the kind of criticisms that Nina Turner might have. What was the name of her show again?
Yeah, unbossed. Apparently, is bossed because she can't even call out this blatant bullshit. And you know, I think Nina Turner's a good faith actor. I don't think she supports Rick Caruso. But come on, man, like, you got to call this shit out. Literally, the network you're part of is going to be part of the reason. It's going to contribute to Rick Caruso's victory in Los Angeles, who wants to install more police. And who's a literal billionaire real estate developer. He's going to gentrify the fuck out of Los Angeles even more so. So, yeah, completely unacceptable in my opinion. But thank you so much, Zachary. We're going to be chatting about that later in the show, like I said, so stay tuned. And thank you so much, Hysteric Raider, for the $2. You're only on the left until you own property. LOL. That's pretty funny. Thank you so much, Hysteric Raider.
LOL. I don't own any damn property, so I'm going to plant my flag in somebody else's yard.
And one more piece of Anna Kasparian cringe, as you mentioned earlier today, Zach. She did publish this op-ed in Newsweek. Let me pull it up. Again, I'm having to pull this all up on my alternate Twitter account. You can follow that. It's in my little name on the screen at Gavin CMB. Anyway, I'm having to look at these tweets from that account because Anna blocked us today on the Vanguard. So that's what's going on. Anyway, she put out this cringy piece of propaganda essentially from Newsweek. She literally wrote this article. It says, "My fellow progressives, we need to stop gaslighting on crime." LOL. And then actually David Dole of the Rational National responded to this. David Dole also called out Cenk Uygur for endorsing Rick Caruso the other day. We also covered that. But now he's calling out Anna. He says, when I visit the U.S., crime is more on the mind, and that's largely because of easy access to guns and high poverty. It's important to acknowledge people's fear, but also tell them what Republicans want is exactly what led society into this position, instead of fucking supporting and voting for those Republicans as Cenk and Anna are planning on doing. And that's 100% true from David Dole, because yeah, it's the systemic issue in these countries, high poverty and easy access to guns. Until those things are solved, there's going to continue to be high crime. Like, that's just the inevitable. So until we begin to tackle the systemic issues which are causing the crime rates to go up, it's not going to go away. It's going to keep happening. And for Anna and Cenk's solution just to be to incarcerate our way out, or to, continue to add more and more cops, that's not going to help anything. That's just going to result in more poor people in prison. That's going to result in more slavery. Like, that's not in any way a solution to the actual root cause. If anything, it's just like a Band-Aid so that NIMBY liberals like the Young Turks don't have to see the crime in front of their eyes.
Yeah, look, and if you come back down to her response here, she says easy access to guns is a problem. So you would agree that whatever gun laws we have in place is important, right? So why is the left constantly providing cover for DAs like George Gascon, who refuses to charge suspects in possession of illegal guns? Yeah. Here's the problem, Anna. When it comes, do you know how, like, the way targeted gun enforcement works, right, is like, it sucks having to unpack all these issues when you're talking about another leftist, because it should be like kind of at least somewhat understood if you're dealing with this from a good faith situation. But let's just unpack all the layers of this, right? Somebody who's not my grandfather, right? They might be in possession of some weapons that aren't necessarily registered or legal. I don't know. I'm not saying that anybody is or isn't, right? But I'm just saying somebody that's in rural Kansas, that's a bit of a firearm enthusiast. I would imagine, you might have a Luger, you might have like some weird shit that you're not allowed to have, right? And the cops can't do a goddamn thing to, you search your house. Like, you're not going to get really in trouble for that. That's not who these gun laws are impacting. And in fact, our gun laws also don't impact the gun manufacturer because of all the states' laws that make it easier for you to just drive one state over and get it. That's why people always point to Chicago. It's like, they have such strict gun laws. And it's like, yeah, but you've never heard of the state of Indiana and how fucking quick and easy it is to get back and forth. Like, obviously that doesn't solve the problem. So then who do the police start fucking hassling with? The people that actually need the guns to defend themselves, right? And like, the hot take, the police do not do a good job of keeping black men safe in this country. Straight up. When has the cop ever kept a fucking? They are only there to provide a danger to those people, right? To those men. Straight up. The cops, they are there to terrorize. They are never there to understand. They are there to fucking criminalize their existence, broken window, police them, etc. Right? Well, guess what? In an environment where you're starved of resources and economic opportunity, there's a lot of hostility, right? And so Republicans and people who buy into this framework like Anna, poor people are just violent. Oh, crime rates are skyrocketing, yada, yada, yada. Let's throw them in jail. There's absolutely no concerted effort to understand why these things are happening. Like, he talks about poverty and she immediately wants to start talking about, let's just throw those poor people in jail. That's always her pivot. She has no other pivot besides put them in a fucking cement box and let them rot there, out of sight, out of mind. It's not a problem for me. The cops will keep Anna safe because she's a white woman that's affluent. She doesn't have to worry about her own personal protection like these people that she so desperately wants to criminalize. So until we address the root causes of all these things, it's going to spiral out of control. This is how we got the most incarcerated country in the entire fucking free world. Okay. Period. Ever. Period. China, North Korea, not more prisoners than us. Okay. Even though China has infinitely more people, right? 5% of the world's population, 25% of its prisoners, and we use them all as goddamn slaves, okay? So that's important, that you cannot separate that from this argument that Anna is making, right? And what's her solution? She's like, crime keeps going up. Why do you think crime keeps going up after COVID? Because the entire bottom fell out for everybody, okay? There was no emergency reserves. People were stealing baby formula, Anna. Do you not remember that? Because they couldn't stand the thought of watching their fucking children go hungry. This is the kind of turmoil that we've created in our streets, this kind of desperation. And that what they always do, we talk about it, how they set up a fucking straw man because it's easy to burn it down. The straw man is, oh, these people are lax on crime, we have to crank down on crime. No, these people are lax on crime, and they're also not doing anything to deal with the disparity in resources. You cannot have one without the other. And instead of wasting our fucking time simping for the cops, playing into the hands of every right-wing NIMBY jackass, like at the Young Turks, we should be talking about how every time we talk about defunding the police, we're talking about reinvesting that shit in the community before it starts. Even Republicans like Arnold Schwarzenegger would get on TV in California and say, I would much rather invest in boys after school programs and girls after school programs than I would rather invest in prisons, because 10 to 1 you get a better ROI, even as a bottom numbers and cents soulless fucking piece of shit. You can look at it and say at least tax dollars are being used better before somebody goes in the system than after they go into the system, right? So all of this stuff is completely absent from the commentary, but yet I see people like Ben Burgess, who, as a guy I have a decent amount of respect for, I like the guy a lot, we have good chats, out here pretending that Anna Kasparian's making a good point. Are you fucking out of your mind? Do you know what a good point is? A good point is, hey, if we take care of the people in this country, then we don't have to put them in steel fucking boxes. So pretending that every left-winger like me or Gavin or Olayemi that goes out there and makes these cases is just ignoring the plight of fucking people who are most impacted by crime is such a damn lie. Olay made the magnificent point that the people who are most impacted by crime are those people that you are then turning around and making an example out of to fucking, like fearmonger for them on their behalf. And they are the ones that are telling you, please to God, don't keep doing it like this, because it's only going to make the situation worse, right? It goes back to recidivism. I'm on a hill here, but you guys know what I'm saying.
Absolutely. No, so well said, man. And again, it's frustrating because she's acting like it's the left that's being too soft on crime when it's the left that's trying to fix and advocating to fix the systemic issues, which will actually result in less crime. If we fix the systemic issues of poverty and even, as she mentioned, gun violence and access to guns, then poverty will go down. The right-wing solution to those problems, Rick Caruso's solution to those problems, will not make crime go down. It'll only make incarceration go up. And that's what she's apparently decided is the correct answer here, and continues to shit on the left, even though, again, they're the ones trying to fix the systemic foundational issues that will actually help with what she wants to see happen. And George Gascon, by the way, is not a fucking leftist. She's acting like the fucking DA of San Francisco or of LA is like a bleeding heart Bernie Sanders progressive or something, shitting all over the left. Anyway, thank you so much, Mike, for the $2. Really appreciate that. Night Guard. Yeah, we're enjoying this nighttime stream. Do you have any comment on that one, Zach?
Oh, no, just shout out to you, man. Appreciate you tuning in.
Yeah, thanks so much. Thank you also, Hysteric Raider, for the $5. Really appreciate it, man. Jank would have to denounce his true religion, aka capitalism, if he really wanted to tackle crime. Not going to happen for the true believers and NIMBYs. That's also, of course, 100% true. And the reason why we are the most incarcerated country in the world is because of our capitalist for-profit incarceration system. If there's money to be made off of these people's enslavement and imprisonment, then that's all that matters in a capitalist system. Their bottom line.
100%. Yeah. I mean, and that's true. You have, that's why, progressive politics and capitalism are totally antithetical to one another. You cannot have one with the other, because you have to undo capitalism if you want to take care of everybody. And clearly Cenk does not want to take care of everybody. He just wants to have, a very narrow utopian world where him and his cronies get to not see any poverty anywhere else and feel like they're good people, even while they're enriching themselves on the backs of others. So lovely.
Yeah, thanks so much, Hysteric Raider. Really appreciate the donation. Thank you also, Jonathan. +1 for the Vanguard After Hours stream. Yeah, I hope you guys are enjoying the After Hours live stream. Definitely been a good time so far.
Yeah, shout out to you, Jonathan.
Yeah, thanks, man. And also, once again, thank you so much, Hysteric Raider. Hysteric Raider. Chris Rock once said, "Life is catching up to jail." I'm not familiar with that specific quote, but thank you so much for the super chat.
Yeah, Chris Rock has this stand-up bit where he's talking about how people are so broke and hungry and whatever that, life is catching up to jail, as in like regular working conditions, and just living your life is like the same as being in fucking jail. Like, you're still like broke, hungry, you live in a shithole kind of a deal. That was the premise of the joke. Shout out to you, Hysteric Raider.
Yeah, thanks, man. Really appreciate that. And as Daniel says, make sure to hit that like button, everyone, as we move on to our next story. Would really appreciate if everyone watching right now hit that like button. So thank you so much. And did I miss your super chat? I didn't mean to, Renzo. Let me go back. Oh yeah. Hey, thanks so much, man. Thoughts on Nader coming out and saying to vote dim? I didn't actually see that. Did you see that, Zach?
No, I don't. I didn't. Sorry, but yeah. I mean, it feels like the older you get, the more likely that is to be rationale. Like they don't want to see like fuck. Like I feel like after all these years, Nader's just like, oh, I don't want to see America lose any semblance of democracy now, and has been like horrified by Trump and January 6th and all those kinds of things. Because I don't know what else he would be telling people to vote Dem about. They have nothing else on their agenda except for January 6th.
Damn, that's crazy. He must really. I can't believe Ralph Nader would ever suggest that, to be honest, but that's crazy. He says he throws support to Democrats ahead of midterms, but warns the party's message is failing. With the U.S. midterms, they argue Democrats have better policies, but are not conveying them to the public. Party doesn't know how to win.
Protect democracy.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, that's interesting. Definitely unexpected. But thanks for letting us know about that, Renzo.
Yeah, I think that I just feel like the old I don't want to be ageist, but I just feel like as you get older, there does seem to be a tendency to just go with that safety blanket of the Dems. But who knows? I would be interested to know what Chris Hedges has to say about that. Ralph is like his fucking guy.
Yeah, absolutely. I was also thinking about Chris Hedges. He must be like, what the fuck, bro? Anyway, thank you so much, Renzo. Sorry, we didn't mean to miss your super chat. And by the way, Lisa, we already did chat about that briefly. Yeah, they're going to be having on Matt Gaetz, which is weird because it's not like they're seemingly having him on to debate. He's just going to be like, part of the panel or whatever, which is definitely unexpected. And then I saw Jenks having on Larry Elder on Monday, like next Monday, I think, maybe today. I don't know, but definitely at some point. So I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? You guys really just like going full right wing? I don't know, bro. Like I said, I'll be interested to see what kind of conversation they do have with Matt Gaetz, and if it does turn into a debate, obviously that's fine. I don't have any problem with them debating right wingers. Of course, that's a good thing. But if they really do just have him on there to kind of be like, hey, what's up, Matt? What's your opinion on the midterms? That'll be super weird. But yeah, definitely unexpected.
Yeah, when I saw the Larry Elders thing too, I did a whoo, because maybe Cenk is going to get out there and he's going to say, you know what, man, it would have been so much better if that recall election had gone through and Gavin Newsom is just destroying California and, oh, Larry, we should have had you in our corner. I don't know what the fuck else you would think of. I mean, I know that like Larry Elder was a like a talk show host for with Dennis Prager or something, but I feel like everybody pretty much knows him from trying to do the recall on Newsom, right?
Yeah, he's been like a fixture of right-wing media in California for a while. He has like a radio show or something like that. So it'll be interesting again to see what kind of conversation they have. But I can only imagine them having him on to be like, yeah, isn't crime out of control? Yeah, that's fucking crazy, bro. Can you believe these defund the police people out here? So wild, man. The left has really gotten crazy. So if that's what it is, then that's completely unacceptable. And we will obviously react to that and call it out. We'll have to see though, because if they debate, I don't want. That's not a bad thing. Just like when they had on Dennis Prager, they weren't having him on to agree with him. Quite the opposite, and that was based. But anyway, yeah, definitely interesting stuff. And we also got a super chat from Dan Campbell. Thank you so much for the generous $20 super chat, Dan. I can understand Chomsky's support a lesser of two evil strategy, but Nader, I haven't checked on the Green Party since Stein. Do they have any decent candidates statewide or for 2024? Yeah, like I said, definitely. Quite unexpected that that Ralph Nader would come out here and suggest voting for Democrats. Really, really unexpected. But yeah, they do have some decent candidates. Matthew Ho is a candidate we've talked to a couple times now in the Vanguard. He's a candidate running in North Carolina for Senate. And he's probably not going to win that race, but he's still a really, really good candidate. Really impressive. One of the most impressive Green Party candidates in a while, in my opinion. And I hope they run him in 2024 because I would happily vote for Matthew Ho for president, assuming that the Democrats nominate Joe Biden and the Republicans nominate Donald Trump, which is what it looks like is going to happen.
Yeah, Matthew Ho is a great candidate. You can tell because they really, did a number to try and keep his name off the ballot, and he, successfully fought and won, and was able to represent the Green Party in the election tomorrow, and he earned that, and hopefully he does well. But yeah, one of the other things that was exciting about talking to Matthew about was the fact that he was really, building a runway for other candidates to run for the Green Party in North Carolina, and really, working that and making sure that there was going to be, good future opportunities for them in the future. So yeah, a lot of love for Matthew. I think he's a great guy. Outside of that, though, I do feel like the Green Party probably, needs some work to keep people at a national level invested in them or even aware of them. As you mentioned, Dan, you haven't really paid attention to it since Jill Stein, and that's because Howie Hawkins was just a very lackluster, unknown candidate that probably set the Green Party back a while with his candidacy. But yeah, Nader is surprising, given the fact that he was blamed just fucking horridly for the election of George Bush and all of that. But hey.
Thanks again for the super chat, Dan. Really appreciate that support. And thank you, Armando, for the $5. Really appreciate that. What are your guys' thoughts on the most likely Biden and Trump rematch in 2024 after the midterms? I think it's definitely likely that that's exactly what's going to happen, which is incredibly depressing and says a lot about our democracy, given the fact that these guys are both underwater when it comes to their approval ratings. And yet the Democrats can't retch up anyone better than Biden. We'll see, but I doubt it. And the Republicans, all the Republicans are going to bitch out and bow to Donald Trump. Probably even Ron DeSantis. They're always going, oh, yes, and let Trump win the nomination, even though he's probably about to be indicted by the fucking FBI. And yeah. So yeah, it's probably going to be a rematch between Trump and Biden. That's the most likely scenario. It's definitely possible that something happen, a wild card situation. But if I was a betting man, I would put money on Trump versus Biden 2.0. And I actually do think that Biden will probably pull that one out. We'll have to see. I think that Biden's extraordinarily vulnerable, but I think that Trump is just so mired in controversy and crimes, investigations, etc., that I doubt he would be able to win a general election. It's not impossible. It's not impossible, but I would give it like a 60-40 Biden over Trump. But if the Republicans just nominated more of like a normie candidate like Ron DeSantis or Glenn Youngkin or some just average, forgettable, non-controversial Republican, then I think they would destroy Biden.
Yeah, I'm not as confident with you that Trump's going to go to jail or anything, but I think that is still the most likely matchup. Gosh, it would probably be the most or the least participated in presidential election, maybe even of our lifetime, if they redid it with Joe Biden and Donald Trump. Because I'm going to tell you what, I would have absolutely zero interest in getting out of bed that day to go vote for either of those two fucks, and I probably wouldn't. So that's my first thought. But yeah, I mean, who else is it going to be? I just don't know. I don't think anybody can beat Trump, even though I do think that they would be far better off if they went with literally anybody else in the Republican Party. The fact of the matter is that he has that 30%, 35% of the Republican base down like a motherfucker. And in the primary, he's going to get through it, and he will use his presidential candidacy as a baton against the indictment, against everything. He will make it try and look like a witch hunt. He's going to compare it to Russiagate over and over and over again and say, look, they never found anything about Russiagate. They're never going to find anything here. Hoax, folks, hoax. It was all a hoax. It's a hoax again. They can't catch me, blah, blah, blah. So I think that might be salient with enough voters in the Republican Party that he breezes through the fucking primary. Then he gets to the general, and then nobody gives a fuck because the economy has eaten shit ever since Trump left. And Trump's going to start running on. Before COVID, the economy was fucking booming in this country when he was president. I don't know what the fuck will happen. I tend to agree with your analysis, like 60-40, probably with Biden, because he does get the incumbency bias. I don't know. It's a really tough one to call. Either way, it's like a damned if you do, damned if you don't. And just what a sad, pathetic fucking state of affairs for this to be where we found ourselves again.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for the super chat, Armando. God, I just really hope that Biden doesn't run for re-election. It would be so much preferable if there's a Democratic primary. For one, it'll be a lot more interesting to cover from a commentator perspective. If there's a primary, it'll give us a lot to talk about. Primaries are always exciting. Got debates. Hopefully someone runs that's fairly progressive. We'll have to see.
A lot of feet in the middle.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of embarrassments and awkward moments. Always love that stuff. But yeah, thank you so much, Armando. More coverage on that, obviously, coming after the midterms. And thank you, Mike H, for the $5. I agree with Nader. Sowing doubt in our electoral process is a dangerous and outright fascist move, and only one party is doing that. Yeah, I mean, I definitely sympathize with his argument as well. Unfortunately, yeah, I mean, it's just weird that he's the one making that argument, given that he's been pushing back on that line of logic for so long.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that the Republicans do it far more egregiously, but don't kid yourself that the fucking Democrats don't love to sow doubt about our electoral process. Or did you forget about the 4 years of Russiagate, homie? Like, that was the entirety of what they did. They sowed doubt about our election and said that the Russians fucking, gave it to Donald Trump. So I think that the Republicans are the only ones that have actually tried to fucking steal an election, but I don't think they're the only ones that sow doubt in our electoral process. But I do agree that that's a big difference. But I would just point out that the Democrats do a fair share of sowing doubt in the electoral process. Like Glenn loves to throw up that Stacey Abrams tweet of her saying that she's not fucking going to believe the results of the election. And of course, there was legitimate voter suppression that happened in Georgia. But all I'm saying is that that's a little bit of a broader statement than I would get behind. Although I do think it is a dangerous precedent for somebody like Donald Trump to legitimately say, like, I did not lose the election, yada yada yada.
Yeah. Also, sit tight, everyone. We're about to move on to our next story about Jimmy Dore and Tulsi Gabbard and the Libertarian Party, all that good stuff. So sit tight. But I didn't want to quickly throw this up on screen to read what Ralph Nader said, because he's not just talking about the election stuff and the democracy stuff. What he said is, what they've got to do is authenticate their message and their rhetoric where people live, work, and raise their families, often called kitchen table issues. They have got to compare and contrast life under the authoritarian, bigoted, corporate, indentured GOP with life under the Democrats. For example, 20 or 25 million people will get a raise to $15 minimum wage under the Democrats. The GOP is against that. The assault on children by the GOP is absolutely stunning, from not using available Medicare funds to insure them, to exposing them to hazardous pesticides and denied paid family leave and sick leave. The GOP is against that. The $300 a month child tax credit to 58 million children in our country, cutting child poverty by a third, was suspended because of GOP opposition in January. So whatever you want to say about that, it does look like his logic here isn't just like the January 6th or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. It is weird watching Ralph make this point, like the $15 minimum wage that they didn't get because of the Senate parliamentarian Ralph. Okay, but I get it. That man has, you can't tell Ralph. That's the dude. That's the reason that we have fucking seatbelts in our car and airbags and shit. So, without Ralph, we would be fucking, all dying from like fucking cigarette smoke pollution and all kinds of shit.
Yeah, shout out to Ralph Nader keeping it real. Although, yeah, it is interesting because this is the same argument that people have always made as to why you should vote for the lesser of two evils. Like, it's not like, I don't know why he just had that revelation. Anyway, it's interesting. Yeah, big respect to Ralph Nader. But yeah, thank you so much, Mike. Really appreciate that. And also thank you so much, Matt Ocelot God, for the $5. You guys ought to speak with James Gilligan. Nobody knows more about violent crime causes and prevention from him than him. Thanks for being based on this issue. Well, thank you so much, Matt Ocelot God. I don't know about James Gilligan. You always have the best recommendations, Matt Ocelot God. And I will look him up and see if we can get him on the show, because that sounds great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it looks like he has a book called Preventing Violence that I just, favorited. So I'll be sure to look into that. Shout out to you, Matt Ocelot. Always good seeing you in the chat. Yeah, Kimberly, unfortunately, I was super stoked on this idea at 1.2. She says, yo, keep up the good work. How much does a giant Vanguard decal cost for the van? Probably about as much money as Gavin and I made in the last 3 months doing this job. So unfortunately, it is fucking expensive to get your van wrapped in a decal. It is pricey. But maybe someday. I always joke with Gavin, one day we'll hit the Vouch wormhole and then we'll come out the other side and maybe then we'll get a decal for the van. But thank you so much for the generous donation, Kimberly. Always great seeing you in the chat.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Kimberly. Really appreciate the generous $20 super chat. Really means a lot. And yeah, we'd love to get a decal, but it is really expensive to get that kind of work done on vans and cars and stuff like that. But I will say, stay tuned, because Zach and I are well underway into our next documentary project. Should be coming out hopefully by the end of November, if not early December. But yeah, stay tuned for that, guys. We're super excited to premiere our next documentary project. Speaking of the van, but yeah, thank you so much, Kimberly. Really, really appreciate that. And speaking of things costing money, Drew was asking if we have a Venmo. We don't have a Venmo, but we do have a PayPal. So if you don't want to donate through YouTube and let Google have their cut, there is a PayPal. You're asking once again. So yeah, there's a PayPal in the description. If you're not cool with that, maybe we should make a Venmo. I have a personal Venmo if you want to just like send me $100. You hit me up, bro.
LOL, Gavin with the dad humor.
It wasn't a joke. No, I'm just kidding. Oh, Zach just absconded. No. Zach just left us all, guys. But yeah, we have a PayPal, bro. Hit up the PayPal in the description. If you do have a Zelle, I want to get you 100%. We don't have a Zelle. I mean, I have a US bank account. Isn't that what Zelle is through? I mean, I can just give you my Venmo tag if you're really trying to send some money to the Vanguard, you know? It's at G Miller 7. Yeah.
Gavin out here trying to get the fucking desperate fucking leftist Americans to fork over their last $5 into his bank account over here. I'm gonna start calling you Mr. DNC.
I sent I put it in the chat, Drew. That's my personal Venmo, so I promise I'll split it with Zach. I promise. But really appreciate that, man. Maybe we should start adding that into our description too. Thank you a lot, Drew. We really appreciate your support. And yeah, do you want to move into our next story about Tulsi Gabbard?
Absolutely. I guess we'll go ahead and move on to Tulsi Gabbard breaking into the right wing with a fucking thundering, reckless abandon. Right? I mean, Jesus Christ. We thought that Rafe Dubin was making a quick turnaround, but it's just absolutely hilarious to see this kind of a turnaround between a presidential election and a midterm election. So you guys don't forget this. Miss Tulsi Gabbard is the only fucking fearless defender. Oh, really? Because she fucking got on the phone and endorsed Joe Biden. She said, "Oh, Joe, I'm happy to endorse you," because she wanted something in his fucking cabinet, bro. She's a climber. Don't fucking kid yourself. And we've been calling it for a while, right? Basically, ever since she endorsed Joe Biden and didn't get what she wanted, she started to fucking work her way back into the warm embrace of the right wing. She, the reverse Joe Scarborough is what she's trying to do. She went on Tucker Carlson and was like, "Oh no, the left is just too woke. The left is just too woke." Then she went on Sean Hannity and validated every single one of his horseshit right-wing ideas about like domestic drilling and all kinds of things, saying, "No, we actually should be doing more drone killings under fucking Joe Biden," all these different clumsy statements that she's made. And now, of all people, she's decided that she wants to stump for maybe one of the dumbest fucking Senate candidates we've seen in a long time. I mean, not to be rude, maybe he has a bunch of CTE and that's why he's behaved this way. But yeah, she's out here stumping for Herschel Walker, and I can't fucking believe it.
Yeah, and not just Herschel Walker, but the whole gamut of the dumbest, most fascist Republicans out here. It's truly insane to watch. Let's take a listen to some of her words about Herschel, who, as you said, is one of the least impressive Senate candidates the Republican Party has maybe ever nominated. Someone who claims to be anti-abortion, but has funded like 2 or 3 women's abortions, apparently is a wife beater, all this crazy stuff. But yeah, let's take a listen here.
Join me now in welcoming your next U.S. Senator, Herschel Walker.
Okay. I guess she's just introducing him there. But either way,
Join me now.
she's stumping for Herschel. Let me pull this one up. She's stumping for Chuck Grassley. She dropped this statement this morning: "I'm endorsing Chuck Grassley, LOL, because unlike his opponent, Chuck will stand up for freedom, the Constitution, and the American people against the radical woke agenda of the Biden administration. Chuck Grassley is committed to putting the well-being of Iowans in America first." Just straight up the most like degenerate Fox News talking points you've ever heard. There's no nuance. She's not even calling out like neoliberalism or anything like that. She's just like the woke Democrats.
Yeah. And what's crazy about Chuck Grassley is that he's 800 years old and he's been in office since like the Civil War, right? Okay. I mean, this dude is insane. So we're from the Midwest. I have been to Iowa numerous times. I know a lot of people who go there all the time because, their family lives there. I know enough about Chuck Grassley. Few senators do I know about. This man has always been in office in Iowa. he's like, he has some weird title. He's like the pro tempore of the Senate. Like, I mean, the dude, and he's just a by the book Republican. He's just a straight up by the book. You know, he reminds me a lot of my mom's boss. My mom works for Jerry Moran. These guys are kindred spirits, basically, right? They are just Republicans, cut all the taxes, fuck the gays, you know, but oh, well, you know, they really should not have taken down the American flag during January 6th. That was deeply offensive to me. Like, that kind of shit is this version of Republican politics. It's like, oh, Donald Trump can be mean and rude, but we're still going to lick his boot in private, kind of a deal.
Yeah, exactly. And here she's out here, you know, with the anti-abortion talking points, obviously the anti-trans talking points. Look at the woke doctors. Can't you just, if that's how you really feel, if you're really so against like trans healthcare or whatever, just fucking say it. Why do you have to add woke? It's literally just a medical procedure, dude. Woke doctors and hospitals mutilating children's bodies and minds for money and profit should not only LOL. She's such a fucking parody of like of a Fox News Republican. I can't get over it. So just video after video of her supporting straight up fascists. Straight up fascist. And of course, when she came out and said, I'm leaving the Democratic Party, some fake leftist came out here and gave her credit for it. And we said, don't give her fucking credit. It's not like she's going to start a third party movement. It's not like she's going to become an independent. She's becoming a Republican. She is a Republican. She's a fucking Fox News bobblehead. You really think she's a principled independent? And people said, no, you guys aren't giving her enough credit. You know, she's an independent minded anti-duopoly, all this bullshit. Then literally like 2 days later, she's out here simping for the worst of the worst fascist Republicans, Blake Masters, JD Vance, and Don Bulldog, who the Libertarian Party of New Hampshire came out here to disavow. Let's put this up because the Libertarians, you know, a lot of Libertarians really like Tulsi Gabbard, guys. She's a favorite of the Libertarian Party. I remember for a while there was like a Libertarian fantasy of her running for president for the Libertarians in 2024. You know, they love Tulsi. They put out this statement actually calling out Jimmy Dore and Kim Iversen, two of Tulsi Gabbard's biggest supporters, at least from back in the day. I know those people don't currently support Tulsi. Either way, Libertarian Party calling them out by name. Hey, Jimmy Dore and hey, Jimmy Dore and Kim Iversen. A lot of Tulsi Gabbard supporters from New Hampshire are being duped into voting for this tyrant after Tulsi endorsed him. Not only did he lie to the police to get an innocent man arrested, but he is also a blatant warmonger. See thread. So they're basically like, yo, come get your fucking gal. Like, what is this shit? Can we please get some can we get some attention on this issue? Can you please call her out so these people don't get duped into voting for her? And to Kim Iversen's credit, Kim has called Tulsi out. You know, I don't agree with Kim Iversen on a lot, but I did appreciate the fact that she not only put out a video about 6 months or so calling out Tulsi Gabbard's pro-war rhetoric, pro-drone strike rhetoric, but she also recently tweeted about the fact that it was, you know, problematic that Tulsi Gabbard's out here supporting war hawks like Don Bulldog. So, to Kim Iversen's credit, she has come out here and explicitly kind of denounced Tulsi Gabbard's shift into just straight up republicanism. I haven't really seen much from Jimmy Dore. I mean, maybe he's made a couple like offhand remarks, but it's not like he's put out a video exposing Tulsi Gabbard for sheep herding all of his, you know, all the progressive energy into the duopoly. I have yet to see that video come out. So maybe it exists. I haven't seen it. But the Libertarian Party of New Hampshire is saying, what the fuck? You know, in part, thanks to your guys' advocacy for Tulsi Gabbard, a lot of people that otherwise might vote Libertarian are being duped into voting for this tyrant, aka Don Bulldog, that Tulsi endorsed. And of course, Don Bulldog is one of the fascist Republicans that Tulsi Gabbard is out here simping for. And I think this might be it. Let me try to find the video of Don Bulldog on Fox News, where he was actually advocating for even more of an aggressive military response to what's going on in Ukraine, going even further than Joe Biden's official doctrine. Let's take a look here. This is what Don Bulldog said on February 28th about the war in Ukraine, an issue which Tulsi Gabbard has made forefront in her own rhetoric.
It's this resistance that's going to win. But what boggles my mind, Steve, is the fact that we haven't gone all in on this already, diplomatically, informationally, militarily, and economically.
Sounds like Dylan Burns.
This is not a time for pause right now. We need to get in there and we need to help them on the ground. We have columns of his troops lined up, ready to be, interdicted. And we need to give that kind of help to the Ukrainians. But we're just sitting back and we're not doing anything. And we're just saying, oh, everything is on the table. Well, now's the time. Putin is a global threat. He is an enemy to the world. And that's what we have to start telling people he is. And we can't take any pressure off China either. We got to go after China because they're in this with them. And we don't want them going into Taiwan. So this is huge. And we got to come together. We got to lead the world in supporting President Zelensky and supporting the Ukrainians. And what we have been doing now is just standing by. There is more to do. We can do it, and we should be doing it.
So let's just be really clear what you mean there. Again, limited time, so I'm sure we can't be an exhaustive.
Yeah, so that's the guy that Tulsi endorsed in New Hampshire. All while she's out here saying that Joe Biden's woke foreign policy is escalating us towards nuclear war or whatever. Meanwhile, she's out here supporting a guy that wants to go even further. Supports fucking boots on the ground. Like, what is this cognitive dissonance? How can you make being anti-war your number one issue and say one of the biggest and most important reasons why I dramatically left the Democratic Party is because of their warmongering and their escalation with Russia, bringing us to the brink of World War III and nuclear annihilation, and then come out here and endorse a candidate who wants to go even further, who wants boots on the ground. Like, then if there's boots on the ground, we would literally be in World War III. That would actually be a real hot war, a real war between America and Russia. And that's what Tulsi Gabbard's preferred candidate was fucking advocating for.
Yeah, I mean, this is the second time, right? I mean, she's come out and endorsed countless dudes that are willing to fucking go and escalate tensions with not just the United States involvement in the Russia-Ukraine conflict, but with China all across the board. So much for being like an anti-interventionist voice, right? Even though she still gets paraded out as an example by all those people where that's their one pet issue. And just to add to the further fucking embarrassment of this, we gave the Libertarian Party of New Hampshire their W, right? But it is a rare day when they're the smartest people in the room. Imagine getting dragged by the Libertarian Party of New Hampshire. Gavin, let's go ahead and throw up this tweet really quickly. This banger from the past. Legalize child labor. Children will learn more on a job site than in public school. These are the people that are outsmarting your girl Tulsi Gabbard now. Are you fucking kidding me? Even Gary Johnson, one of the dumbest men who's ever gotten on a fucking general election ballot for president in the entire history of the United States. I mean, I can't. We don't even have time to relive all the Gary Johnson humor from 2016, right? Aleppo says it all. But anyway, I'm sorry, but no, this isn't what libertarian means to millions of Americans. Pushing a disturbing and out-of-touch stance on child labor is entirely detached from what people need in America today. They also had a really big banger that I will not put up, following in some Kanye footsteps, where they had a tweet that it was like $6 million minimum wage or you're anti-Semitic or something fucking crazy like that. I was like, nobody knows what you're talking about, but not throwing that one up there. But anyway, these are those sophisticated minds that are out here absolutely catching Tulsi and Jimmy with their pants down. And exposing their grift. So you have to imagine that their target audience is even dumber than the Libertarian Party of New Hampshire. And that's a devastating blow.
Absolutely. So I thought that was pretty funny that the Libertarian Party of New Hampshire just kind of name dropped, tagged Jimmy and Kim, being like, yo, what the fuck is going on with this shit? You're going to come collect your bitch? Like, what the fuck? And yeah, they do have a lot of crazy shit on their feed. Trying to see if there's anything else about. Yeah, they're really going hard against Don Bulldog, who's Tulsi Gabbard's preferred candidate in New Hampshire that she's out here stumping for. Definitely pretty interesting stuff. Yeah, they hate Don Bulldog. Makes sense. Yeah. Anyway, I thought that was pretty funny.
Oh yeah, hilarious. And just a clear example of Tulsi's never changed. She's always been a freedom fighter. She never supported the war. She did it. She fighting for me. No, she's not. Tulsi's looking for her 15 minutes of.
Yup. Absolutely. Before we get into our next story, which is the Max Blumenthal versus Candace Owens, Ben Shapiro debacle, let's address a couple super chats. So everyone sit tight. Hit that like button too if you're just tuning in, have not hit the like button yet. Really would appreciate that, guys. Helps get some more comrades in the chat. Thank you so much, Mike, for the $5. Russiagate wasn't a hoax, just the part where Trump himself colluded was. Yeah, he followed up and corrected. Just the part where Trump colluded was. Watch Renee DiResta on JRE a few years ago. She detailed all of it. Oh, yeah, there was definitely some sketchy shit going on. Don't get me wrong with Russia and Trump. Don't get me wrong. There definitely was some sketchy shit going on. It's just that the Democrats made this really insane case about them literally, stealing the election essentially. And that didn't really turn out to be accurate. But I mean, there's definitely some like smoke there.
I mean, as far as what I know, Russiagate referred to the cabal between Donald Trump working with the Russians in order to steal the elections from Hillary Clinton in 2016, and there has not been a lot of there. Was there some like sus financing that came from Russian oligarchs? Of course. Was there some memes that said masturbation is a problem, we can beat it together? Yes. But I mean, did this in any meaningful way impact the United States election? No. And the fact that they hung on it and harped on it, and every day it's going to be the smoking gun, and Mueller's just around the corner, it's going to be all this stuff. It's like that never happened, Mike. So I'm curious, when you say Russiagate wasn't a hoax, like what specifically are you referring to? Because to me, it was a very elaborate ruse that basically ignored a lot of Trump's actually more problematic policy towards Russia, like when he was escalating tensions with them by putting ships in the Black Sea, doing stuff like that. Like nobody would ever talk about that. It was all like, oh, Putin is like controlling Donald Trump and all that kind of stuff. And even if that's not what Russiagate means to you, that is what Russiagate means to 200 million Americans who were fed nothing but that on MSNBC and CNN, and then the counterbalance on Fox News every night. So I do think that it is tough to argue that the Dems have never fucking participated in doubting the integrity of our elections, when that was their whole excuse for why Hillary lost, was that Trump cheated, and there was really no evidence to bear that out.
Correct. Yeah, no, that's totally true. I'm just saying there was like some sketchy shit going on, but yeah, it was a hoax
campaign.
Right. There was also sketchy shit going on. I think she like colluded with like Azerbaijan or some shit like that. Like they gave her some dirt on Trump or like something like that. But I'm just saying, like they did like reach out. They're like, hey, do you want this dirt? Or like, do you want to do this meeting? I don't remember all the fucking, details of the Russiagate era.
The Steele dossier is correct. No, it's not.
Yeah, I got so sick of hearing about all that bullshit. But thank you so much, Mike. And yeah, obviously the
George Papadopoulos.
Mike, what's his name? Mueller. Sorry, not Mike. Bob Mueller came up totally short. I remember all the like MSNBC resistance liberals like freaking out when he finally like unveiled the findings of his report, and it was basically absolutely nothing. And they were all like, what the fuck? They kind of like turned on Bob Mueller for a second after holding him up as this, beacon of hope. Anyway, thank you so much, Mike. Really appreciate that. And thank you, Jill, for the $2. She could have aligned with the Iowa railroad workers. I'm guessing you're referring to Tulsi Gabbard after her endorsement of Chuck Grassley. And yeah, I mean, that would have been based. Unfortunately, instead, she's choosing to align herself with like neocon Republicans.
It's like they always say, Chuck Grassley sucks assly, and so does Tulsi Gabbard.
Yep. But yeah, thank you so much, Jill. Really, really appreciate that. Also, thank you so much, Drew. Really appreciate the generous donation. Thank you so much, man. It means a lot to us.
Yep. I'm like 100% retracting my comment about how you're a DNC insider.
Yeah, we really appreciate that, man. Thank you so much for the support. And obviously thank you to all the people that have super chatted as well. We really appreciate it. And I think that's all we have to say about the Libertarian Party calling out Tulsi Gabbard and Jimmy Dore / Kim Iversen. But yeah, it's truly crazy how blatant Tulsi Gabbard has just gone full straight up fascist. Like, holy fuck. Totally insane. But yeah, let's talk about this a little bit, because this is wild. I never expected to see Ben Shapiro beefing with his own employee, Candace Owens, over Max Blumenthal. All right, we got to start from the beginning. All right, here's the original tweet from Candace Owens. She was responding to Max Blumenthal, who said, We white American Jews are living through a golden age of power, affluence, and safety. Acceptance of this reality threatens the entire Zionist enterprise, from lobby fronts like the ADL to the State of Israel, because Zionism relies on Jewish insecurity to justify itself. Candace Owens quote tweeted that and said, "You're about to get in a lot of trouble for stating this. Reminds me of when I said something similar about the NAACP and BLM way back when. When you disrupt the trauma economy and call out the not-for-profits that benefit from it, you become their next target." To which Ben Shapiro responded, "I think the ADL is a partisan hack organization too, but retweeting Max Blumenthal, who spends his life covering for Jew haters and stumping for Israel's destruction, makes the conversation significantly worse. It's garbage." And you guys know we have a lot of criticisms of Max Blumenthal in the gray zone over here. But I don't think their coverage of Israel has been in any way anti-Semitic, at least not from what I've seen. I mean, accurately identifying Israel as an apartheid state, covering the oppression of the Palestinian people at the hands of the American-funded Israeli government, is not anti-Semitic, obviously. So again, I have many criticisms of Max Blumenthal, especially from the last couple of years, but that would not be one of them. And I think that's a pretty uncharitable way to look at it, or way to state that from Ben Shapiro.
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, shocker, right? A really uncharitable depiction by Ben Shapiro, right? Look, like obviously, like I've disagreed with Max Blumenthal in the past. He went on like a really like fucking Bender tweeting up a storm about the Vanguard one time, and I was like, Jesus Christ, dude, you need help. But other than the fact that he has a massive coke nose and probably a fortune from his own daddy, who's like a fucking neocon, Bill Clinton guy, not a neocon. That's the improper nomenclature. I'm sure he would bust my balls about that if I fucking brought it up to them. But anyway, his dad was a big Clinton guy, Sidney Blumenthal, right? Anyway. So I've got a litany of criticisms of this guy, but the one base thing they do at the gray zone, it seems like, is their fucking coverage of Israel, right? And look, I am not an expert on like the fucking inner dynamic. I'm not a Jewish man. I don't know a lot about religion, period. Most of my focus on that is like the U.S. fucking funding of the oppression of Palestinians through the fucking vessel state of Israel, and the actual like politics of the religion and like, Zionism. Because I know Noam Chomsky will say he was an original Zionist and it was never supposed to fucking be about any of the things that they made Zionism about. So I can't like fucking attest to that part of the fucking debate that they're having right now. I don't fucking know anything about that. But what really gets to me is when like Candace Owens like tries to like pick that up and be like, yeah, this is like when I said it was crazy that people were pretending that black people were oppressed in America. And it's like, no, I just think that I don't know. It's just such a weird way to be like, I don't know. None of it made any sense to me. But then she was also just the other day out here defending Kanye and like pissing off Ben Shapiro about that. So I just don't understand the through line between like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's definitely pretty interesting. And actually, this is the second time Ben Shapiro has called out Candace Owens on the issue of Jewish affairs. He also called her out after she explicitly defended Kanye West for his blatant anti-Semitism. So it's definitely interesting to see Ben Shapiro taking some shots at Candace Owens, who literally works for the Daily Wire, which he founded. So he's basically her boss. And Candace actually responded to Ben Shapiro's call out here. Of course, this is the original tweet. Ben said, retweeting Max Blumenthal, who spends his life covering for Jew haters and stumping for Israel's destruction, makes the conversation significantly worse. It's garbage. She then responds and says, I don't know who Max Blumenthal is, but I do know that you have my number and could have informed me in earnest. Real relationships should trump Twitter theater. Let's set a better example going forward.
I actually hadn't seen that, but that's fucking hilarious, dude. Honestly, I think that's hilarious. She probably doesn't know who Max Blumenthal is, which is the first like funny thing. And then two, the fact, like, imagine just like saying that to your boss. She must have pretty good job security. She must feel a little more safe in her position than Nina Turner does over at the Young Turks, because I haven't seen her clap back at Jank at all. And this was fucking hilarious from Candace. I don't know if this was intentionally supposed to be like a fucking tongue-in-cheek joke, but what a comeback. She ratioed her own boss, so good for her.
She did ratio him. But it is pretty funny too when you get called out on Twitter and you're like, Like, let's set a better example going forward. Like, as if that's something she gives a single fuck about. Like, like, oh, I'm so concerned about having an honest dialogue about this issue. I'm so concerned about anti-Semitism. If only you would let me know. Like, come on, bro. You're out here like defending Kanye West. And again, obviously Max Blumenthal, I'm not saying he's actually in any way anti-Semitic. I don't think that's true. The gray zones, Max Blumenthal specifically, his coverage of Israel has been really, really strong. Some of the best. So anyway, I just thought that was pretty entertaining. The fact that Candace Owens and her boss, Ben Shapiro, are beefing. And then Max Blumenthal weighed in to this whole situation. He's probably like, what the fuck is going on? Right? Max says neocon child actor Ben Shapiro has had his career astroturfed by corporate GOP power brokers, granting him notoriety and influence while he trades on bogus anti-Semitism victimhood narratives. He perfectly embodies the phenomena I described and runs the same hustle as the ADL. Woo! Pretty based.
Max with a banger. Banger Blumenthal right here, wielding that baton well. I mean, Jesus Christ, this is what I would like to see. But yeah, look, that's 100% true. He's basically just a fucking corporate mouthpiece, Ben Shapiro is, right? Yeah, I mean, his politics are tax cuts for the rich and fucking conservatism. So, I mean, yeah, I love how the author of A Full-Throated Call for Full Ethnic Cleansing of Palestine, including those who are citizens of Israel, is concerned that retweeting me makes the conversation worse. See, that's pretty funny.
Yep. Can't argue with Max there. Can't argue with Max there. Anyway, definitely a pretty interesting exchange. Do you have any opinion on this original tweet from Max Blumenthal?
I actually don't know much about this. That's what I was saying, referencing earlier. I don't know much about the politics of the actual religious philosophy of Zionism, because I know that Noam Chomsky, who has never in his life advocated for any kind of occupation of Palestine ever, and has been alive since before fucking World War II started, right? He would say things like, back at that time, I considered myself as so I don't know if that was just language that was co-opted by, Israel in order to, justify them being a vessel state for the United States and to fucking, give us that foothold in the Middle East that we wanted, again, after World War II. I don't know. But I mean, again, and like I said, I mean, obviously, the Jewish religion has been persecuted for thousands of years. But I mean, I could also see where Max Blumenthal is saying hey, this is my religion, but I also still enjoy, some affluence and safety here as a white person, and balancing those two things. I don't know. That would be my charitable interpretation of what he's saying. But again, I'm a fucking white guy from the Midwest. I don't know a ton about, the religious. I'm not a scholar of Judaism or anything like that.
Yeah, I also don't really have much of an opinion on that. But anyway, definitely a pretty interesting exchange, to say the least. Definitely an unexpected intersection of different political worlds. Max Blumenthal colliding with the Daily Wire crowd. So that was unexpected. Yeah. Anything else we want to talk about?
Matt Gaetz on TYT a little bit, unless I guess we already kind of mostly covered that. I mostly just wanted to shout out the fact that even though they decided not to bring the prosecution against that guy, if Cenk doesn't ask him a single question about that 17-year-old girl, it's going to be a low bar.
Yeah. Like I said, hopefully they actually get into a debate or whatever, because yeah, if he's just part of the panel, that would be totally weird. But yeah, I think we can probably get out of here. I feel like we had so much to talk about and we wrapped up so quickly, but I guess we're kind of out of stuff to talk about, right? If anyone wants to shoot us a question, what was that?
Oh, I was just going to say, before Mike H super chats us. Oh, hey, hold up. We got to get one from Comrade. Shout out to you, Comrade. And then I got a special one for Mike H. I wasn't trying to break your balls earlier, Mike H. I like you. Comrade, will you guys be covering the midterms tomorrow? Yes, we will. This will be another night guard, a little bit of the beer guard. It will be Gavin and I. We'll have the Casa del Vanguard alone to ourselves. My girlfriend will be away doing actual on-the-ground reporting in Kansas City, and we will be here stroking our beards and pontificating over a couple of brewskis. So you hit that like and subscribe button and the notification bell, comrade. Gavin and I are thinking like 8:45 Central Time when, give the polls enough time to close, give you guys enough time to, get the early prognostications from Breaking Points and Kyle Kulinski and the people that you're going to prioritize before us. And then, for the late night show, we'll bring you that James Corden action. It was like, we're here. I always like to say, Gavin and I are like, if there was a big parade on the internet, right? A big parade of all of leftism. Gavin and I are the fucking Kansans with our overalls and our big shovels there to shovel the shit at the end of it. We're just the poop scoopers of the online left. And we own it. So if you guys are like, hey, you guys are just the fucking shit eaters of the online left, I'm like, yeah, that's how I paid my rent. Fuck you. Like, you know what I mean? Like, get out of here. So that's what we'll be talking about tomorrow. Shout out to you, comrade.
Yeah, thanks so much, comrade. We will be covering the midterms tomorrow. We might do an afternoon stream as well, depending on if there's anything to talk about, right? Like, I don't know if there's going to be anything to talk about, but if there is, then we might hop on here to talk about it in the afternoon. But then, yeah, we'll be coming back in the evening. So feel free to hit that notification bell and hit that like button so you won't miss that. I know like Breaking Points and TYT and all that crap will also be live. But if you guys want the real scrappy, just raw, unfiltered, drunken Vanguard special, tune into us. It's going to be where the real party is happening, breaking down these midterms. Hopefully we get some results coming in tomorrow. Hopefully we don't have to wait like a week. It was crazy how like in Brazil, when they had their election the other day, the results were like, it was like fucking 6 p.m. and they were like, yep, Lula won based. It's like, we don't have to wait like 5 fucking weeks.
No, and they also knew the down ballot elections too. Like, I mean, it was across the board. They were like, well, Bolsonaro's guy won here, Lula's, people run here, guy that's not associated with either of them kind of associate one over here. Very clear, generally accepted. Even the people that were mourning the loss of Bolsonaro were like, fuck, he lost. It wasn't like, we're still counting ballots. It was like, we're fucking crying and praying in the streets because like Bolsonaro lost and shit like that. It was like, hey, at least everybody was like, damn it, he didn't block off enough highways. Fuck, he should have blocked off more highways. Like, so anyway, shout out to you, comrade. Looks like we got a few new super chats. Led Zeppelin or Van Halen. So this is an obvious question, Jill, because if you were not born in like 1970, it's impossible to answer Van Halen because Van Halen is like the most forgotten, like, they were a product of their time. Like, don't get me wrong. Eddie Van Halen can fucking shred, and so can Wolfgang, his son. They can fucking play the shit out of that guitar, dude. But the sound that Led Zeppelin crafted in like the wake of like rock and roll and the Beatles and everything had already happened. And they're like, oh, nobody can do anything else that's new. And then you get a super group. I mean, they were literally like a super group, right? You have Jimmy Page, who's like with the #1 studio guitarist, right? He's not working with Clapton anymore. So frees him up. He gets fucking hooked up with John Bonham and Robert Plant, and they put out many of the greatest rock albums of all time. I remember when I was a kid, I was born in 1998. But when I was in high school, I was still rocking the fuck out to Led Zeppelin too. I don't know anybody that could. Gavin didn't even know who David Lee Roth was when I showed him a meme about him the other day. That's how far Van Halen has fallen off. If he'd never seen the movie Fast Times at Ridgemont High, I don't know if he'd know who they are at all. So, I'm gonna ask Gavin, can you name me like a single Van Halen song?
No, I can't. And to be fair, not really my favorite genre of music. Like, I admire Led Zeppelin. I don't really listen to them a lot, but obviously Led Zeppelin over Van Halen. But yeah, I can't name a single fucking Van Halen song.
Like, go ahead and jump. And then Hot for Teacher is the other one that's really big. I got it so bad, I'm hot for teacher.
Yeah, thank you so much, Jill. And it looks like you agree with our opinion on that one. Yeah, obviously Led Zeppelin. Although again, I don't really listen to Van Halen, so it's not like I'm an expert.
I gotta send you back to school and way down inside.
Yeah, exactly. And thank you also, Evil 1911. Really appreciate the $5. Does Kyrie have to be right to be wrong? What if he's sincere? And what if it's a sincere? What was Kyrie Irving saying again? Something anti-Semitic? What, like, where, like, the black people are the real Jews or whatever the fuck?
Yeah, so he got in trouble for retweeting this documentary. It was like, you know, a lot of shit was going on. It was definitely because like in the wake of Kanye, you know, and then he kind of doubled down into the whole like black people are Semitic, so I can't be anti-Semitic thing that Kanye was saying a lot of. And then the NBA was like, yo, you can't play if you're gonna behave like this. And then so it's like, does he have the right to be wrong? Yes. But you can be fired from your job for saying all kinds of crazy shit your boss doesn't like. So unless the NBA has a clause where it's like, I mean, do I think you should be able to say whatever the fuck you want and not get fired from your work? That's tough, right? Because it's like, well, what if Kyrie came to work and, you know, said a bunch of really, really, really horrible slurs to everybody all day? And they're like, oh, well, you got to, that's his speech. But it's also like, that's a line in the sand, right? Like, I mean, do I like what Kyrie said? No. Do I think that he should be able to be banned from basketball forever? Like, fuck it, probably not. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
Actually, I just realized that good friend of the show, Dave Zyrud, wrote a piece about this. Did you see that, Zach?
No, I haven't read Dave's piece, but I would love nothing more to know than what he had to say, because he's obviously a Jewish man and he also covers sports and leftism for, you know, his career. So I would be very interested in reading that. The league won't acknowledge its own culpability for the current climate of hate. Interesting. Yeah, I will read that, and then maybe we can talk about it tomorrow in a little more detail, because I'll definitely want to check out that piece.
Yeah, he's saying that I'm not paying attention to this controversy at all, so sorry for my ignorance. But according to Dave Zirin, Kyrie Irving is he posted an anti-Semitic video called "Hebrews to Negroes." So yeah, it sounds like more of that Kanye kind of rhetoric about how like the blacks are the real Jews or something, which is like Jewish people can be any skin color, right? Like you can be a Jew and be like Indian or French or black. Like it doesn't really. I'm just confused about that whole thing. I'm like, what do you mean you're the real Jews? Like what does that mean?
I think. I mean, I don't know, right? But I imagine that it comes back to like, you know, like, fuck if I know, actually, right? But I don't know. Like, I imagine that had something to do with slavery. Like at one time, like the, you know, like Jewish people were enslaved, and obviously at one point there was chattel slavery of fucking African American. I don't know. This is all like a weird area for me to fucking navigate, because I don't know anything about the actual religion, and it's also such a hot button cultural issue where you don't want to step on anybody's toes. But yeah, I also was kind of under the same impression as you, that it's like, okay, it's a religion. It's kind of like how you could be like Muslim and you could basically look however the fuck, like, you know, Hassan Minhaj makes a fucking joke about how you know, this was like white guy at his mosque when he was a kid was like obviously like a fucking op, and you know, but like you could be a white fucking Muslim dude, I guess, or you know, if you like, they exist, right? When I say white, I meant like a white American guy. Obviously, people in like fucking, you know, Eastern Europe or the Islam is like, I'm saying, religion is not really something that like I understand impacting your fucking skin color, right? It's like a philosophy about life. It's like, you know, there's Taoist dudes that aren't from fucking Asia. I don't know.
Yeah, very, very weird stuff. I don't really understand the whole like the whole like Black Hebrew Israelite movement. I need to do more research on it, to be honest. So sorry about my ignorance, guys. I'm just not super plugged into the whole, you know, celebrities saying stupid shit.
It's also like, I've seen more clips of Luis Farrakhan going around, and I'm always like a little sus about that. Like, like, I mean, people who are like, you know, not anti-Semitic, like fucking liking, you know, videos of like people who I know are good people. Like, I don't even want to say their name on here because I'm like, I can't believe you did this. You do not know who this man is and the like horrible things he said about Jewish people and the Holocaust not happening. Like, I don't care that he sounds bass for 5 seconds in this clip. Like, you know what I mean? But anyway, so yeah, that's obviously happening. There is a rising tide of anti-Semitism. It has to be addressed. But, you know, the right wing and all the people that are pearl clutching about it right now, like they don't actually give a fuck about like the persecution of, you know, people of the Jewish identity, just like they don't give a fuck about the persecution of anybody, so long as it doesn't undermine the almighty dollar.
Absolutely. But thank you for the super chat. Appreciate you probing for our thoughts on that one. You got some unfiltered discourse on the subject matter. So thank you so much. And also thank you so much, BW in Wisconsin, for the generous $20 super chat. Thank you so much, man. Late to the show, but here's some cash to fuel tomorrow's buzz. Well, thank you so much, BW. That'll definitely go towards the cause. Hope you enjoy the live stream tomorrow. It'll hopefully be a good time.
Oh, yeah, it's going to be an awesome time tomorrow. I have imagined the Dems are going to get spanked, but we're hoping that we get to celebrate some legal weed here, and cannabis is on the ballot in Kansas City. So hopefully we'll have that to look forward to. But shout out to you, BW in Wisconsin. Always great to hear from you.
Speaking of voting tomorrow, Zach and I did everything right. Apparently, Zach more so than me. But, we went to register to vote because I previously had voted in Kansas, where my parents live and where I obviously used to live. But apparently that's illegal, according to my dad. He was like, you probably don't want to do that again because I don't actually live in Kansas anymore, right? So I was like, all right, well, I should probably get around to registering in Missouri so I can vote in the elections, especially because legal weed is on the ballot in Missouri. Wanted to vote for that, of course, in addition to other measures. There's a measure on the ballot about police funding in Kansas City that I obviously wanted to vote against. Anyway, I get a letter in the mail today saying, oh, by the way, even though you came and registered to vote, didn't work. They're like, your social security number, your driver's license, it didn't compute. I was like, what the fuck? I literally filled it out 100% accurately. I know my social security number off the by heart. I looked on my driver's license and just copied it onto the registration page. I don't know what the fuck I did wrong, but apparently I did something wrong and now I can't vote tomorrow. So I guess I'm an anti-electoralist now.
Yeah, that was fucked up because we went together. I drove you. I went and filled it out and I got my little voter card in the mail and I was like, hey, great, I'm registered to vote. I can go and, participate in our good democracy. And Gavin is like, where is mine? I'm like, oh, here's a letter for you this morning. He opens it up. He's like, one was a letter for a toll bill that I guess we got fucking somehow. Gavin and I have this issue where whenever we drive anywhere in this fucking goddamn country, we always avoid the tolls. And then still, we get like a letter from wherever we go. One time we went to Colorado, we had like $30 in tolls that we didn't fucking pay. I was like, what the hell happened? But we get one letter and it was tolls. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, I'll pay that with the Vanguard card. Then we get another one and he's like, what the fuck? It says I didn't register to vote. And I'm like, well, the fucking election's tomorrow. So I think you're fucked. But yeah.
I really don't understand the toll thing either. Can someone please let me know why we keep getting bills for tolls in the like if you drive to Colorado and you have to pay the toll, they make it pretty obvious, right? They're like the big thing in the middle of the road that's like, put the money here, and you have to hand the dollar bill to the poor bastard working at the little toll booth. You know what I'm saying? Like, how do you miss that? It's not like I just drive straight through it, like blow through the gate. I really don't understand how you possibly can miss a toll so many times. Is there like a secret one off to the side of the road that you're supposed to pull off onto? Like, I truly don't understand that. But either way, thank you so much, BW in Wisconsin. Really, really appreciate it. Luckily, it was only like $7 the toll, but yeah, really appreciate that. And also thank you, Mike H, for the $2. Chiefs got lucky to escape with a W last night. That's for damn sure. I wasn't paying close attention to the game, but I was checking the score as it unfolded. And for a second there, I was like, oh, it's over. Chiefs lost. And then I look again and like an hour later and I'm like, oh, fuck, they pulled it out. What the fuck? But if you want to talk about what happened, Zach, you probably know more.
Yeah, so I was hollering at you, Mike H. I didn't. We got a few super chats before I was able to bring this up, but yeah, recap on last night's game. Overtime W for the Chiefs. Here's the big standouts. The ball. We were looking good. We were looking good early. Getting the ball moved around a lot. Patrick was throwing 3 different receivers had touched the ball. We'd also had the ball moved by 3 of our different backs. So everybody's getting their hands on the ball. Everybody's moving around. It was looking great. The problem for me that made me want to beat my fucking head against the table the entire time I was watching that game, particularly the first half, we just had dog shit defense against the rush. We could not stop them for anything. Steve Spagnuolo needs to figure it the fuck out, because we cannot just be the football team that'll allow 16 yards on a carry up the fucking gut. Like, are you kidding me right now? What is going on? What is going on? It has to come down to play calling, okay? Because we had such a pathetic response to that. We should have trounced the Titans. But to be fair, they were talking about this a lot last night. Andy Reid has never fared well against the Titans. There was obviously that notorious playoff game where we blew like a 21-point lead with Alex Smith. Lost to the Titans. They're just a physical football team, and they were beating us up on the line, and that was bullshit. I had a few big moments for the defense in the fourth quarter that was able to help us win the game, and we also got massively lucky that there was a flag on that 2-point conversion, and we got to try it again. But other than that, that's my analysis from the game. Not going to keep getting lucky. Going to have to solve those problems. Looked good on offense. Just needed to really shore up the defense a little bit, in my opinion.
Interesting. Yeah, that's some good analysis. But thank you so much, Mike. Really appreciate the $2. And thank you also, Comrade, for the $5. FYI, IDK, if you all are aware or not, but a new Godzilla book, Godzilla, the Ultimate Illustrated Guide, is releasing tomorrow. I'm 100% picking that up. Hell yeah, bro. Thank you for letting me know about that. I will definitely have to look into getting my hands on that as well. Sounds like probably like a good kind of like coffee table sort of book, a lot of good pictures in it and stuff like that. So I'll definitely have to look that up and check it out. Thank you so much for the super chat, Comrade. Thanks for letting us know. And also let me know if you're excited about the upcoming Toho Godzilla film that was just announced, coming out about a year from today. Super excited that Toho's back in the game, making some more Godzilla films. As much as I love the American films, I really do think that Japan does the superior job when it comes to making them. So I'm glad they're back in the game, like I said. But thank you so much for the $5.
Yeah, 100%. It's funny. Gavin's the perfect guy to tell this to. The other day I walk into the living room and he's like playing with this like fucking box of a toy. And I was like, oh, you got a new Godzilla toy? And he was like, no, I got a new King Kong Transformer action figure. And I was like, LOL, we live in a sitcom.
Yeah, the Titan Tech transformable Kong. Yeah,
that's what he told me it was.
But yeah, I will definitely check out that book, Comrade. Thank you so much for the super chat. And thank you, Christina, for the $4.99. As always, really appreciate it, Christina. A lot of people are secularly and culturally Jewish, but not necessarily religious. Yes, this I am aware of course. Yeah, a lot of people that are like grow up in a Jewish family, but they don't necessarily practice the religion themselves. That's definitely a thing. So they kind of identify with Jewish people, even though they're not like practicing Jews. So yeah, that is a good point. Thank you for pointing that out, Christina.
Yeah, that makes sense. If I was separated from like the culture of like Christianity, I'm a fucking ardent atheist, but I would probably still celebrate Christmas just because it would make me happy or whatever, to be like culturally involved with that. I mean, there's a lot more holidays in Judaism than Christianity but I imagine it's a similar deal. Also the cuisine, the fucking, lineage of persecution, all that kind of stuff you would want to like carry with you, even if you were like, I don't believe in God,
Absolutely. So thank you so much, Christina. Always appreciate hearing from you. And also thank you, Tool Druid. Really appreciate Tool Druid. Some rent money or Baja Blast, whatever comes first. Looking forward to Night Guard tomorrow night. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go to Taco Bell and get myself a Baja Blast. You can't get it in the store anymore. The Baja summer is over. So I'm gonna have to go pick some up from the T-Bell. But yeah, I really appreciate you, man. Thank you so much for the $9.99. Thank you for the support in general, Tool Druid. Always appreciate seeing you in the chat.
Yeah, absolutely. Shout out to you, Tool Druid. Really appreciate that. And really appreciate everybody that tuned into our show today. Make Gojira great again. It's been pretty great. I mean, it's hard to top the fucking action that we're getting from the legendary films. I was a big fan of the Shin Gojira, which is why I'm really excited for the new Godzilla to come out. So yeah, it'll be all across the board. Good time. Gavin and I just saw a Triangle of Sadness yesterday. Palme d'Or winner. Definitely worth it to go check it out. A lot of great class commentary in that movie. And also it just goes hard as fuck. You'll know what I mean after you see it. I don't want to give anything away.
Yeah, for all of you communists out there, go watch Triangle of Sadness. It's in theaters right now. It won the Palme d'Or at the Cannes Film Festival. Zach and I both agreed that the last act was a little bit unnecessary. It probably should have ended a bit sooner. But the first 2/3 of that movie is probably my favorite cinema of the year, straight up. Like some of my favorite filmmaking of 2022, hands down, if not my very favorite filmmaking. It's really a bummer that they kind of fumbled the ball at the end with that third act, which again, I found to be a little bit unnecessary. But the first two acts, like the first 75% of Triangle of Sadness, is a masterpiece. I love it so much. So definitely check that out. It has a lot of class commentary, a lot of class criticism, some pretty on the nose communist versus capitalist conversations going on in that movie. So definitely check that out if you guys are into movies. It's out in theaters right now. And thank you, Das Bosa Fleisch, for the $5.99. Really appreciate that. I watched Bernie's traditional hairstyle getting ruined in the rain at the end of his speech yesterday. Oh no. I'll have to check that out. That's funny.
Yeah, I was at first. I was like, Das Bo's Fleisch. Did you come from Germany? I actually, funny enough, Das Bo's Fleisch. I was at Chez Charlie, this bar in Kansas City, the other day, and there was a guy who was from Germany that was sitting next to me, and I brought you up, and I said, "Hey, the #1 fan in my podcast from Germany is name on YouTube is Das Bo's Fleisch," and he looked at me like I was the most crazy fucking guy, and he was like, "That doesn't mean anything," and then just like moved on. I was like, so. Das Bo's Fleisch. I tried to get to the bottom of your name's translation, and I was foiled once again. But
I think it means the evil flesh.
then it was my own pronunciation that foiled me instead. But shout out to the what's it called? What more time?
The evil flesh.
The evil flesh. See, there we go. Okay, there we go.
Yeah, I get like Cronenberg vibes from your name, Das Bo's Flesh. I don't know if you're a fan of David Cronenberg, but something, you know, like in Videodrome, they're like "Long live the new flesh." I always am reminded of that. But I think that's what it translates to. One time Google just randomly translated it for me on YouTube. And I was like, oh, you changed your name to the evil flesh. And then I was like, oh, no, that's actually just the translation. So correct me if I'm wrong, Das Bo's Fleisch. But as always, really appreciate the $5.99 super chat. Thank you so much, man.
Yeah, I guess without further ado, we can get the hell out of here for the day.
Yeah, I guess so. Thank you guys so much for the super chats. Thank you so much for tuning into the show today. Hope you guys enjoyed the commentary. Make sure to hit that like button if you haven't already. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you don't miss tomorrow's live stream, potentially 2 live streams. And yeah, isn't that such a great movie, man? It's just a fucking masterpiece. I love David Cronenberg in general. He's my second favorite filmmaker. And yes, it means the evil meat / flesh. So thanks for the confirmation. And check out Videodrome if you haven't seen it. Great movie. Shout out to the Patreon community. Thank you guys so much for the support on Patreon. As you guys know, we like to start and end all of our live streams with a big shout out to the Patreon community for keeping the show afloat, for making the show possible. We wouldn't be able to do it without you guys.
Yeah, shout out to all of you while I'm over here resisting the urge to make an evil meat joke. You guys have a good rest of your Monday night.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for the support. Links in the description. As always, patreon.com/the Vanguard channel. Hit it up, hit it up, hit it up if you enjoy the show and our commentary and would like to support the work that we do. Even just a couple bucks a month goes a long way. Really appreciate the support, guys. Like I said, you make the show possible. So whether or not you love us or hate us, you can thank the patrons because they make the show possible. There would be no Vanguard without the Vanguard patron community. So thank you guys so much. And we'll see you guys tomorrow. Good night, Guard. See you tomorrow, Guard.
Peace out, Guard.